So now I would like to come to the conclusion, and I think the best conclusion I can offer to you are insights that can be put into practice, advices if you like, but in any case, they're an integration of the knowledge presented in this episode, and I have one on enduring suffering and one on letting things grow. So first, on enduring suffering, that's actually an advice that one of my best friends offered to me when I was going through one of my most difficult times. And it really helped me a lot to really also become more patient and to endure suffering. So I hope that if you're going through a difficult time, it might also be of help for you. So I'll just give you the advice, so to say, or the instruction what to do. So he told me that I should just write down my situation, how it's now in this moment, how it was 3 months ago, and how it will be 3 months in the future. By the way, of course, you can change the time frame to a year ago and a year in the future, but we just go with 3 months for the moment. And then you really write down which aspects of your situation are difficult, and if you're going through a particularly difficult time, then it might be multiple aspects. So it could be your health, your financial situation, how you are emotionally, your relationship, etc., etc. And you really do that for 3 months ago, now, and 3 months in the future. And as I told you, it helped me a lot. It helped me a lot to be more patient and to endure suffering, to already feel better. And what I've realized while creating this episode, I think, are the reasons for that. First, well, maybe most importantly, it really helped me get a better understanding of time and just how things unfold over a longer time frame. And well, I guess particularly if you're suffering, then it's very difficult to do that because you are so absorbed in your own pain, and it feels like it's forever and it's not going to change. But if you can see that it hopefully already changed a bit and likely will in the future, that already puts things into perspective and makes you feel already much better. So you realize that hardship is only temporary. And then secondly, it can also help you endure suffering because you only have to deal with the pain of the moment and not with the imaginary pain of the future that might not even come, right? And you just have to deal with the moment. And then third, it can also help you not be unduly saddened by the situation being as it is, because you can hopefully see that good things are already on the way to you in the future. So that's been very helpful to me. I hope it will be for you as well. And then the second insight, which is on letting things grow. Here as well, I would like to share how I came to this insight just very quickly. So actually, when I was starting to do this episode, I was really not used to talking to a camera, and a friend of mine gave me an advice that I might just imagine to talk to a person, and it would make sense to talk to the person who I know could need this message on patience the most. And I immediately knew who that person is, and it was me 10 years ago. Because as I told you before, that's when I had this idea for this project, but I didn't do it. I was impatient and I was doubting whether I would ever do it, right? And then I really imagined what I would tell myself, my past self. And so then I came to realize, I think, something which is hopefully great advice on letting things grow. So what I would tell myself 10 years ago is the following. Only when you trust that your moment, so your big moment where you will realize your dream, only when you trust that your moment will come, will you be open to the moment in the present and no longer deny the present moment, no longer negate the present moment. So I think that's understandable, because if you have this big dream, you just only think about the future and how to get there as fast as possible, and then you really don't, well, you don't have the attention on the moment, you're not living in the moment, right? And so what I would tell myself is, don't devalue the moment, don't forget to be spontaneous, don't forget the little joys in life and enjoy them. Don't stop spending time with your friends and family because you think that you have to spend every moment just working on your project, otherwise it will never turn into a reality. And then also, don't worry and no need to stress. Don't stress. So, having given myself all these forms of advice, I had a further realization that all these forms of advice actually have something to do with life, right? With living life, with being alive. And here again, it's so beautiful to see that patience and life really seem to be closely related, right? Because patience allows you to live, to live your life and to be alive. So life unfolds in every moment. And in that sense, every moment is just as valuable as every other moment. It's not just some future moment. And that might also be quite different from a teleological view of development. So that's a concept that has been proposed by the philosopher Aristotle, that I've already talked about earlier in this episode. So he actually was trying to explain why life, let's say plants or animals, develop to a certain form. And what he has said is everything, let's say every living thing, but also everything actually in his view, has a certain telos, so a certain, you might say a certain final form, and which is also kind of its purpose. But so the reason why, let's say, an animal develops into becoming what it is in adult life, so to say, is that it has this form, and the life organism is really somehow trying to become that. And, or you could say, it's trying to become mature, right? And maturity itself is a teleological concept. And so if you have this view, what it tends to emphasize is, of course, this mature form, right? And then it's in the future, and it tends to again maybe emphasize the moment less, or even value that less. But if you have the view that life unfolds just in every moment, you might have a quite different view. And so I would say life unfolds on its own, and it does so in its own time and on its own terms. And patience prevents that your big dream or your big goal becomes a source of suffering. Because, well, if you have this big goal and you're not patient with it, you just live in this future state, but also the fact that you don't have it at the moment causes you to suffer, right? For example, you're very stressed, you don't experience joy. But if you are patient, you can have this dream, this goal, and the fact that you don't have it at the moment doesn't cause you any harm, and you can still have joy, right? And just experience every moment as it is and value every moment, accept every moment as it is. And I'd like to also share like some variation of that, which is also, I think, worth sharing. Because you could imagine that if you have, again, a big goal, a big dream, and you're not that patient, that you might tend to reduce your life to just one dimension, right? You have this goal and then you might think that, well, I have to sacrifice all my hobbies or maybe even the contact to my friends, or at least not see them so often, etc., etc. And if we go back to the image of the plant that should be watered, right, and not be pulled at, we can imagine that you have maybe one branch of the plant that you really want to grow, and then you pull at it, right? And so the consequence, as we have learned, is that this branch will only be shriveled up, but the other branches you will neglect, and you might not water them, and therefore they might just wither. And so the consequence of that is that you have a completely messed up plant, right? But an alternative to that is to water not just the branch, but to, of course, water the root of the plant. And what then happens is that the whole plant will be nourished.